It is a good fish. This is a good fish. Good morning and welcome to another episode of Bassing with Captain Lou. Guys, this is not what you think. It's not a peacock bass video, even though I am peacock bass fishing, so it's what I'm even confused. But nonetheless, this isn't about that. This is about custom rods, actually. I just received this beauty of a masterpiece right here from my very good friend and business partner, Captain Lee over at AE Fishing. He made me a custom BFS rod, and it is unbelievable. And the reason why I am doing this video is not to talk about the rod per se. It's about to talk about the custom rods from the consumer's end, not from the builder's end. So stick around, and I'm gonna go over some things that I think people who are buying custom rods for the first time should know, so that when they meet up with their custom rod builders, they'll have a much better understanding of what is it that they really want. So you made up your mind. That's it. This year, you're gonna treat yourself to a custom rod. There's a lot of things you guys gotta keep into account, and I'm gonna cover each of these aspects when I go deeper into this video. The first thing you gotta determine is the type of custom rod that you want. What is it about the custom rod or aspect of the custom rod that you want? For what application? Because that's right, custom rods can be made based on application. And you guys know that as bass fishermen, we have so many techniques that we know and so many type of applications that we love fishing that you could actually have a custom rod made for those applications. In this example, like I covered in my intro, this right here, this is my BFS custom build. And this right here is made for I call this my peacock bass killer, because this is for peacock bass and light and medium-sized jerkbait applications, as you guys could see here. But this rod was built with that type of fishing in mind. And fortunately, the rod builder, like I mentioned to you guys, was Captain Lee Harrelson over at AE Fishing. Him and I have fished together over the years for many, many years. He actually came down last year to fish for peacocks for the very first time with us, and he had a much better appreciation and understanding about peacock bass fishing, so that when he made this rod for me, he hit it out of the park. Lee, thanks again, this rod rocks. But nonetheless, when it comes to custom rods, you gotta take into account the type of application you want and have a custom build made for you. Oh. I can't put the rod down to make you guys this video. So the first thing I want to go over is the actual blank. This is the actual rod itself. Okay, this is what they're going to build on. They're going to build on this blank. Now, the type of blank you choose is going to dictate a lot of things, because today's materials are out of this world, depending again on your budget. You can have a very good custom rod made for you on a lower spectrum of the budget, or the mid spectrum, or you decide to really splurge and go high end, there is some good blanks out there that you should keep into consideration. Now, there's pros and cons when it comes to rod blanks. The higher you go in that spectrum of quality, the amount of sensitivity comes into play, the weight comes into play, and it just feels like nothing's in your hand. The con to that, or the disadvantage to that, is if you take that rod outside of its design, then you run the risk of breaking that rod. And what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is, if you have a bad habit of boat flipping incorrectly or boat flipping a lot, and you come across this high-end type of rod and you think you're gonna be able to do the same thing and not have consequences, I'm sorry to tell you, more than likely you're gonna break that important investment that you made for yourself for not following some simple tips. And the first tip is, I don't know if you guys saw me, but in some of the catches that I just showed you guys and how I broke this rod in with some of the little peacocks, I was told by my rod maker himself, Lee Harrelson, Captain Lee Harrelson, and a very good friend of mine who's very familiar with the type of blank that I chose, or the type of blank that this rod was built on. The main thing they told me is, careful with your boat flipping. And I got told by both of them, who are very well seasoned anglers, if these two guys are telling me be careful with boat flipping, I'm gonna be careful with boat flipping. So I don't boat flip. I actually, if you guys saw, I pull the fish up by the line, and so far so good. The beauty of custom rods is that you could design it to the type of handle that you want. In this particular case, I'm okay, depending on the techniques, I'm okay with a full handle and I'm okay with a split handle. In this case, it's a split handle. Okay, what that means is I have a handle over here, and then I have a part of the blank, and then I have the bottom butt part of the rod, and it's separated. And I like it for certain applications, especially in my light and my light to medium applications like in the BFS type of system or in my Peacock Bass type of applications, I am perfectly okay with a split handle. Now, when it comes to materials, for example, you could choose the type of material you want as a rod handle. In this case, this is like a wind grip type, okay? It's a little bit different than your cork, let's say, but it gets when it's wet or when you have gloves, it just grips nicely into the contour of my hand, and I feel very secure with this type of grip. Versus, for example, another type of grip. Again, this is a long handle, but this is a carbon fiber grip. I like carbon fiber also. It feels great in my hand. Again, it all depends on applications and what you like. I like, again, carbon fiber I love, and I also like the wind grips. So moving up the rod, one of the most important components that I learned through my process is the reel seat. And that is the actual part where the reel itself attaches to. There are so many different type of reel seats and type of triggers, which is this portion right here. There's so many that play such an important role in the design of your rod. You should do your due diligence and research reel seats and have a good lengthy conversation with your rod builder in regards to the type of reel seats he's recommending based on the applications that you want. Hold on, I had to make a quick cast. Sorry, I had to make a quick cast. I couldn't pass up this spot. All right, and back to the explanation of the rods and stuff, sorry. Okay, so you determined what type of rod handle that you wanted, what type of reel seat you wanted, and now it comes time to decide what type of wrapping do you want. And what do I mean by that? Do you want a traditional wrap or do you want a spiral wrap? And if you don't know what that means, it's time to do some research. A traditional wrap is when you have your guides all in line. This is a Dobbins rod, one of the rods that I love using, but this is like what I consider off the rack type of rod. And the guides are a traditional wrapped, meaning they are in line with each other. Okay, right up along the blank. When you look through the middle of the blank, you're gonna see all the guides are aligned in a straight line. And that's a traditional, or I consider a straight line traditional type of guide wrap. A spiral wrap changes a little bit of the aspect of the rod. And again, I know I'm gonna mess up the explanation. So again, I urge you guys to talk to your rod makers in regards to spiral wraps and their explanations, because some of it could be a little mind-blowing. But what I mean by a spiral wrap is, if you guys could see this here, you guys could see that the first guide, okay, starts off like your traditional guide, and then the guides start to change. I'll have one to the side, and then it goes down below, and then the rest of the guides, or the rest of the guides on the blank, look like a spinning type of rod. So what happens is it just takes into account the characteristics of that blank. And for me, I prefer spiral wraps. I have a lot more control in my casting and handling of fish on a spiral wrap. But again, I reserve this for you guys to talk to your rod makers and go into that discussion. But if you have the opportunity to have a spiral wrap done, I strongly urge you guys to do that. Another aspect to keep in mind is, I know I've been showing you guys a bait casting custom build, but custom builds could also be made in the spinning rod variety. I personally don't have any spinning custom builds, so I can't show you any of those. All of mine are very technique specific in the bait casting realm. Okay, handles taken care of, reel seat taken care of, the blank taken care of, spiral wrap or traditionally wrapped taken care of. Last little component that you guys haven't even taken into account are the actual guides themselves. Believe it or not, that makes a significant difference. There are so many different type of guides out there that you have to choose from. And the type you choose will make a significant difference as far as the type of outfit you decide to have done for yourself will play an important role. Again, I am not gonna go into the different type of guides. There are your Torzite guides, and then you got these guides, and you got those guides. Talk to your rod maker and he's gonna guide you guys, no pun intended. He's gonna guide you guys to make the right decision when it comes to guides, but you gotta take that into account because each of these rods, custom rods, take at least anywhere between 10 to 12. Let me see, this one has 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. So based on the length of this rod, this one has 9. Based on the length of this rod, I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, I have 12 guides. And this one is more on the micro side on this particular rod. If you look at it, they're very small. This is my personal frog rod, my custom frog rod, and my guides are a little bit on the micro side, and it's also spirally wrapped. This is a bad boy right here. I don't even feel it in my hand. All I do is I feel the weight of the rod itself, but of the reel itself. But other than that, I don't feel this rod in my hand. But this was a very special rod that was made for me. And again, when it comes to blanks, you can see the different types. In this particular case, this is a point blank. And this one right here is a NFC blank. So right away, there's different types of blanks. They're all very good. Okay, we're almost done. We're almost done. There's more to it. You could actually choose the artwork that you want on your rod. That's right, you could actually have the artwork. You could choose the colors of the threads that are chosen, the color of the threads that go around each of the guides. You see that? You could choose that. These aren't by the rod maker's choice. These are your choices. You tell them what type of colors you want. Now, you could splurge and have different colors, or you could just be a traditionalist and just have the rod based upon its job. You don't have to get all fancy. You could just have a plain old rod made for you that's going to serve its purpose well. But for those of you who wants to customize things and have these things for a very long time and have a special touch to them, you could always ask your rod maker to do some artwork, and they'll ask you about it. In my particular case, this one here, like I mentioned, this is my frog rod, but see, it has my tag name on there. This rod maker, Mr. Lee Smith, is a good friend of mine, and this was one of his builds. He actually put the little design of the frog, of the bass going after the frog and all that good stuff. So this is customized to me. It has a very special, I have a special connection with this rod due to my relationship with Lee Smith. So it's very special for me. And so then again, that's the thing about custom stuff, is you can make it as special as you want or as plain as you want. But nonetheless, these are some of the things that you guys have to keep in mind when it comes to custom rod builds. So I hope I was able to shed some light in aspects of the custom rods that you guys should take into account when you guys go have that special build made for yourselves. I appreciate you guys for watching this video. Like the video, share the video, better yet, just become part of this community. Yes, we are growing, and I'd like you guys to be part of that. If you guys have some custom rod builds that you guys want to share or talk about, feel free and comment below. But other than that, I'll see you guys later. Take care of yourselves.